Hello viewers, and welcome to the Giddy Carousel of Pop, the podcast that takes an old issue of the swingerilliant pop mag smash hits, usually from the 1980s, although it may slide a year or two either side of that, and has a right good rummage through its pages with a guest. I'm Simon Galloway, and joining me as ever, he packs jams like a party in a tin can. It's Mr. Gavin Hogg.
I really do, yes. Good evening, Mr. G. Are you all right?
I'm all right. Is it a what is 7? What is it? Party 7? Is that what it is?
A what is Party 7? I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit before my time, you know. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I only know about them because my dad made a little waste paper bin for the living room. Just wrapped some wallpaper around one of them and ran it in the corner of the living room for a few years. Anyway, enough of that kind of chat. Before we set the carousel spinning in motion, Gav, how can the Giddy Poppers support the pod?
Well, these freeloading listeners, they can buy us a coffee, can't they? If you just go to ko-fi.com/giddypoppod, ko-fi/giddypoppod, you can buy us a coffee, 2 coffees, as many coffees as you like, as a one-off, every day, every week, you know, whatever you want. It's always much appreciated.
Just keep it casual.
And if you want to leave us a review on your podcast app of your choice, that would be very much appreciated as well.
So, down to the important things now. What's happening in the land of the carousel?
Settle yourself down, Si. This is what's happening in Carousel Land. Following our recent trip to the mid-90s, your podcast hosts, that's me and you, are feeling a little disorientated. We determined that the next year we visit should be less recent, for we are sore afraid of befuddlement should we be propelled further forward in time. We're not sure how to communicate our feelings to the capricious carousel, and we seek the counsel of Miss Dalrymple, employed as the Quality Assurance Officer and Complaints Manager at the Coconut Shy. She recommends an enigmatic occultist, Mystic Miranda, currently residing somewhere between London and the shadowy Third Realm, who will offer up her arcane skills for a can of Vimto and a choice of creamhorn or Eccles cake. She chooses the Eccles cake and a deal is struck. The following day she arrives and quickly establishes a strong rapport with the carousel. Within minutes she turns to us declaring that her work is done. At this point she removes her veil and triumphantly downs her Vimto in one. But before she begins her Eccles cake, we realise that we recognise her. Her Mystic Miranda persona is a grand swizz. It is in fact Miranda Sawyer, author, journalist and broadcaster. Not only that, but she's set the coordinates for 1990 to look at an issue that she worked on. What a blooming nerve! We whip the northern mince pie off her, but she appears unrepentant and prepares to clamber aboard anyway. Now, Miranda, though you have tinkered with the carousel through slightly devious means, we admire your chutzpah and determination. So, from the cluster of clapboard colts in front of you, please describe your favourite mount. What kind of horse would you like to be on, in other words?
I would like to be on a nice fat horse that can support me in my olden age. Doesn't go too fast, not too much up and down, very cheery. I would like that. A nice solid horse that's quite cheery.
Slow, steady and of a jaunty disposition.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Some gentle rotations.
No, I don't really like going round and round.
What are you doing on the carousel then?
I don't know. I feel like
This whole thing's a big mistake.
I feel like I'm actually maybe being a gentle roller coaster that round and round makes me feel a bit ill.
Okay. Well, we'll set the controls to go very, very slowly.
Really slow.
1 rotation per hour.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay. So the carousel will start spinning very slowly upon your answering of this important and legally binding question. Have you ever been sick in a gumboot?
No, I've been sick on my shoes several times.
Okay.
There are very few women that haven't, I don't think. I mean, maybe it's just my era, but pretty much all my friends have been sick on their shoes. Yeah, I just don't think I could be friends with someone that hasn't been sick on their shoes.
Don't want to waste your time with them, do you?
Yeah, I mean, really. Like I've definitely been sick on my shoes several times. And luckily I've always had short hair, so I've never had to have somebody holding my hair back. But most women will have held the hair back of another woman who's being sick on her shoes.
But nowhere near gumboots. Okay, well, you've answered the question truthfully, to the best of our knowledge, so the carousel can begin to spin.
The carousel has spun us back to the smash hits of the 27th of June to the 10th of July 1990, yours for a reasonable 55p. And if you want to read along with us, you can do just that thanks to the Smash Hits Remembered website. You'll find the links to the scans of this issue in the show notes for this episode, along with links to Spotify and YouTube playlists that include pretty much all the songs and artists featured in this issue of The Hits. You'll also find these links on our website, giddypoppod.home.blog, and we'll post them on our social feeds as well. Just search for the Giddy Carousel of Pop or at Giddy Pop Pod in social media land. So, Miranda, before we get stuck into this issue, I mean, tell us about you and Smash Hits. Where did it all begin for you? When did it come into your life?
I can't remember exactly when it came in. I remember it being around, and I remember really obvious things like cutting out pictures of Madonna and putting them on my wall. Why would you not? And that was in her very early holiday phase. I actually can really specifically remember what she was wearing. And she had like kind of lace fingerless gloves. She had lots of kind of bracelets and a kind of lime green top. And that was from Smash Hits. But generally, I just really liked Smash Hits. And when I was younger and when I was at school, people used to say, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like, you know how they always do, very annoying. And I used to say, I want to be a newsreader, which is really boring. Or I want to be editor of Smash Hits. Like I was quite specific. And like I didn't know any newsreaders or anyone who worked on any newspaper or anything. I didn't know anything. But I just thought like that looks like a really good job. I really love Smash Hits. And I didn't read any other music paper. I never read the NME or Melody Maker. I just wasn't interested in any of those. It all seemed a bit serious. And yeah, Smash Hits was my kind of Bible when I was younger.
What was it about the writing that you liked?
It was funny. I mean, mostly it was funny. It was really funny. And I completely appreciate a decent poster and the lyrics. Like, I still appreciate a decent poster. In fact, I will tell you, they are very hard to get. So I was looking for posters for my daughter. And they're really, really it's really hard to find where to buy them now because there's obviously very few magazines and there's not so many HMVs and things like that. It's just hard to find them. But I had posters all over my room. You know, the best magazines make you feel like you're part of a kind of, I mean, gang sounds, it's like gang, but like, it's like a crew, like a group of friends. Yeah. And so it's like...
A little club. A
little club, yes, exactly. It invites you in and you get all the jokes because you read it all the time. And I used to read all of it, you know, every single tiny little bit, all the captions and all the little jokes about who wrote for them, everything. I read it all. And so because of that, you felt like, not that you knew the people, so it wasn't like social media, but that you got the jokes and those jokes would carry on every issue. And I just really liked how it understood that. It understood that you knew the music already, and then it introduced you to the people that made the music, rather than, I suppose, NME and Melody Maker would describe the music and then analyze the music. And it did that a bit, but it was really, it assumed that you, as a teenage person, understood the music already. You knew what was kind of swinger-rilliant about, you know, whoever, like whether it was Brother Beyond or whether it was Kylie or whatever, you knew what was good about them because you're a teenager. Of course you did. Like, you don't need to analyze it. You just know if they're good or not. And I liked that, really. I appreciated it rather than people arguing about the middle eight or something.
Or some semiotics or something like that.
Yeah.
Something
yeah,
serious.
Exactly. I mean, well, the thing is with Smash Hits, you would get politics and stuff, but you would get it kind of via the medium of pop, wouldn't you? So, like, somebody, you might be asking, you know, the journalist might ask something quite serious, but hidden in a funny question, or the pop star might mention something about, I don't know, politics, and then you would go and look it up. Do you know what I mean? Rather than it being the be-all and end-all of the writing. You know, and that wasn't the point. That wasn't what I liked.
What kind of music were you listening to around that time? I guess we're talking when you were at, 14, 15, 16, those kind of times?
14, 15. So let me think. That would be, so when I was kind of 11-ish, it was like Blondie and things like that. But then that went into quite an interesting phase of I think this is a bit younger actually, like Adam and the Ants and things like that, terrifically exciting pop that was.
Oh, yeah.
With Adam and the Ants, I really remember that what we would do was do you remember ticker tape?
Yes.
Like, you're probably too young. We had ticker tape that we'd stick onto things that would then go downhill. I don't really know why. And we would stick that on our noses to make the right strike. And then we would jump off the different desks while going like this. That was our Adam and the Ants tribute. And then I suppose as that time carried on, I remember understanding quite late that you could go and see bands. Like, I hadn't realised that was allowed. Does that sound a bit stupid?
No, I was exactly the same.
No, I was the same.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me that this could happen.
No, because you just saw that they seemed like complete aliens and you saw them on top of the pops and that was brilliant. And then I remember understanding, okay, you can go and see them. And we lived outside Manchester and I somehow got tickets. I don't know how I got them actually. But I went to see Tears for Fears and then Depeche Mode. And Depeche Mode were amazing. They are still amazing. But genuinely, like, they were really brilliant. Dave Gunn was really brilliant. And I remember thinking, oh, this is really exciting. I think I like this. And started going to gigs. I just hadn't realised that you were allowed. I didn't realise there was any way of your world meeting that world. I know that sounds so naive, isn't it?
No, but I think then pop stars seemed like quite alien sort of characters, didn't they? They got beamed into your home via Top of the Pops, or you read about them in smash hits, but it didn't really feel at that age that there was a connection with them. Obviously it was before social media and stuff. So, like, how could these people ever be part of your life, really? Wasn't
Yeah, exactly that. I just hadn't understood that you could go and see them, that was allowed. I just didn't get it,
Well, I didn't even think that they came from anywhere. And when the Human League were in the charts, and I grew up in Sheffield, and one of my brothers told me that the Human League came from Sheffield. It kind of blew my mind that these people on Top of the Pops came from my town.
They may have walked the same streets.
So you were absolutely in love with pop music, and you started going to more concerts. How did you get in the job with Smash Hits come about? You said quite early on you'd said you wanted to be editor of Smash Hits, but how did you make it reality? Well,
yeah, and I had no idea really. I didn't do anything about it. Obviously, I didn't know what to do. So I just carried on, did my A-levels, went to university, studied law. What an idiot! And then that wasn't very much fun. And so then, and also because it was like that was 1985 to 88. And also I studied law at Oxford. Can you imagine? What was I doing? Like, not a clue. I don't know why I did that. And as soon as I got there, I thought, I'm not going to be a lawyer. These people are awful. So I'd kind of, I don't know, but I didn't know what to do. I hadn't got a clue what to do. So I thought that what I'd do is finish my degree and go away somewhere. I was going to go to like Mexico or something like that. So I just, obviously you have to get part-time jobs to get through university, and I saved its money, and that's what I was going to do. I was going to go to Mexico. And I carried on reading Smash Hits. And then what happened was I went to see my mum and dad in Manchester. So I got on the train, and it was during the week, and I bought The Guardian. This is very unusual. I never bought The Guardian, only ever read Smash Hits. And it was in the time when all the media jobs were advertised in The Guardian on a Monday. And I was just on the train for ages. Trains took a long time in those days. And read it all. And it said, I still got the piece of paper. I found it the other day. A clip. And it said, pop writer for Smash Hits. And they were advertising it as a job. Can you imagine? And I was like, that's the only job I've ever wanted. I didn't even know. I was like, what? And so I was like, well, I'll apply. And so I just wrote a letter to them, and I obviously had no qualifications, but I wrote it in the style of Smash Hits. So I wrote I used inverted commas, I made loads of jokes, and I wrote it out. And then my friend had an Amstrad, and so I went on the Amstrad and typed it out, and because I thought that a lot more professional, and sent it off. So naive. But I mean, it might have worked, do you know what I mean? Because it's like, it looked more professional than me writing, I suppose, really.
Yeah.
And basically, Richard Lowe, who worked there and was, I think, editing bits or maybe mutterings at the time, He found it. I still can't actually believe he found it because once I'd worked at Smash Hits, I knew just how chaotic it was. So I can't believe he found the letter, and I can't believe he got in touch with me because also they got in touch with me and I was in London doing a cleaning job, and the only way of getting in touch with me, the cleaning job was in a university, so you've got a room, and so the only way of getting in touch with me was just leave like a message with the security guard in this kind of like student accommodation where I was cleaning. And I got a message there going, do you want to come in? And I was like, really? Okay. And I went in and met Barry. And I think he just took pity on me, actually, because the person who got the job was Mike Suter because he'd been freelancing. So he was obviously kind of qualified. But Smash Hits was selling so many copies at the time, over 800,000 every 2 weeks, that they kind of need to train somebody up. And so I think they thought that I would be a good person to train up because I was obviously really keen on the magazine. You know, I remember Barry asked me, he showed me other magazines in the interview, like, I don't know, Just 17, maybe Q, I think. And I was like, I don't know what they are. I don't read them. I only read Smash Hits. And he was like, you've got a law degree from Oxford. Why do you want to wear Smash Hits? And I was like, because it's really awful. It's horrible. I don't like it. I don't want to be a lawyer. If you don't give me this job, I'm just going to go away.
It just felt like it was meant to be, right? The fact that you saw the advert the first time you bought The Guardian in years or whatever, and then that you found the advert, and then you got the message.
So random.
Incredible.
Yeah, so random. I can't believe it. And so how they did it was you had a little trial, and the trial was 2 days. And so he said, just come in. And of course, I had never had a job. I'd only ever had like cleaning jobs and, you know, just normal jobs. So I didn't know what time it started. So I turned up at 9 o'clock and nobody was there. Smash Hits was above the boys' shop on Carnaby Street. And nobody ever turned up till like 10:30. But I didn't know that. If you have a job, you turn up at 9 o'clock, that's what I thought. And so I turned up and I had to sit on the step outside for about an hour.
But that's nice. So I bet that really endeared you to them as well. The fact that you were kind of there waiting on the step.
I don't think they'd thought about it. Everybody was just very like, you know, they just hadn't thought to tell me what time it started. And then I remember getting into the office and just thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. And one of the reasons why I thought it was amazing was because all the jobs I'd had were like cleaning jobs or, you know, menial jobs. You'd always had to kind of boss. It was always shouting at you and telling you were rubbish. And it was really hierarchical. And within Smash Hits, it just wasn't high. I couldn't work out who the boss was. Like, I knew it was Barry, but he just seemed like everyone. Like, everybody just seemed the same. I couldn't believe it. And they all, like, I've only ever had it twice in my life where I've walked into an environment and I thought, oh, okay, I understand this. And once was Smash Hits and once was Six Music. And I just walked in and thought, okay, I get it. Like, even if you don't give me this job, I really understand it. There's something about the way that this is that I completely understand. And it's to do with the democracy and the stupid jokes and everyone smoking and they were like pop and it was a bit of a mess. I don't know. I just thought, right, I just get it. I understand it. I was too scared to speak, obviously, but I did understand it.
And who was there at that time? You know, who do you remember from the office?
Well, everyone. So there was Barry McElhenney, there was Darren Schlesinger, there was Chris Heath, there was Sylvia Patterson, Tom Doyle, Mike Suter, William Shaw, Richard Lowe, Lola Borg. They were the kind of writers, and freelance writers like us was Tom Hibbert, and actually Neil Tennant had just left. That's sort of the job that Mike Suter had got, kind of thing. And then quite soon after that, Alexis Cadis joined after me, and Sean Pattenden joined after me as well. Yeah, I remember everyone, like, completely. I couldn't tell you where they sit. They sat and everything. Like, I just remember the whole thing about it. It was, like, amazing. And I got given something to do immediately by Richard, which was, he said, okay, here's 2 weeks of tabloid newspapers. Just go in and rip out all the pop stories. So I ripped them all out. And then he went over and then he just divided them into 2 piles, put one away and gave me the other pile and said, right, go and write that up for Mutterings. And I was like, okay. And so I just went away and I got a piece of paper and I wrote it out, like did mutterings, and I wrote it all out longhand. And then everyone else is on Amstrads and they had an electric typewriter and they put me in front of the electric typewriter, but I'd never used one. I didn't know how to switch it on. I had to have somebody how to switch it on. And I was quite, I'm quite chatty naturally, but, I was so nervous. Even asking somebody to switch it on was just really scary. And then I just diligently typed out what I'd written longhand onto the thing. And I did it in a day. So I just did it. Like he asked me to do it and I did it. And I remember writing it. So it's in that time. So now obviously everything's desktop publishing, isn't it? So then what happened was you'd write it out it would be typed out and you had to have spaces between the line, like a double space between the line. And obviously it was only on one side so that the designers could write in the font that was used and it could be subbed. And then it got sent away to the printers. The printers set it into the font that was required. And then it came back and that was cut out and literally stuck on something else to make a page. But I'd done it. So I did it and handed it in. And I'd written, because I was a student, there was no spaces at all. I'd written really close. So it was just like loads and loads and loads of lines all over it. And then I flipped over and used the back as well because you don't waste paper if you're a student. And I just went and handed it over to Barry McElhenney at the end of the day. And he went, "Oh, you've done it." And I went, "Yeah, done it." Panicking. And he marked it up. And, the designer marked it up, it got sent off. And he said, "Look, it's good. It's a bit too smash hitsy, like a little too many mad smash hits things." But I'd done it. I think most of the surprise was that I did it. Like I always say that to, I know that everything's different now and you have to apply for millions of jobs when you get jobs and stuff like that. But I've always said to any young people, I've always just said, just do, if they ask you to do it, just do it. Just do the job. Just do it. Like it's like 90% of the job is doing what they asked on time.
Yeah.
That's it.
The other stuff will come later, but that's the main bit.
They were so surprised that I did it. I think they just couldn't believe that they'd sent me something to do and I just did it. I mean, not perfectly, but did it.
How long was it before you felt like you kind of settled into there, that you were kind of accepted and one of the team?
Gosh, I couldn't really tell you that because not long. Yeah. But when I was employed at first, I was employed 1 week on, 1 week off.
Yeah.
And so you never felt quite, like you knew what was going on. But I'm quite, in the end, I am quite friendly. And I did like going to, gigs and I just kept turning up. And I think eventually they're like, "Oh, she's here now, isn't she?" It's not going away.
Back again.
And then once other people joined that were new, then, I would always talk to them because I remember how I felt, And then you just, just all became friends because there was like a lot of things you could do. I mean, there was loads of mad parties that we blagged to, you know what I mean? Like enormous parties for Bros in the Canadian embassy, things like that. I remember. There's a lot of money sloshing around the music industry in those days.
There was a lot, yeah. And so just thinking back to those times and the office and things, I have to thank my friend Trish for this question. What did a smash hits lunch hour look like? What was lunch like in the office?
Well, there was never really a proper. I mean, there was a few places. It was very alien to me because it was a job in London. So people had bottles of water. I'd never seen that before. I was like, if you wanted water, why would you not just go to the tap and get some water? Like a bottle of water? Outrageous. I couldn't believe it. These modern life, modern ways. And there was a couple of places where people used to get food. One was a vegetarian restaurant called Cranks. God, the food is awful from there. And then there was somewhere else. It was all a bit sophisticated for me. I was a bit white bread. And people would get things like, I don't know, getting a salad for lunch was just, I've never seen that before. It's absolutely beyond my ken. And then there's another place where I remember they just kept putting fennel in it. A bit weird. So some people, Sian was a vegetarian. She wasn't vegan, she was vegetarian. So she used to bring in chocolate spread sandwiches. That's what I remember, because the chocolate spread was so shit. It didn't have, don't think it even had any milk in it. Do you know what I mean? So she would have that. A few people used to bring stuff in. I can't remember if I did. I don't remember eating a lot in those days. I mean, I did a bit, but not much. But there's a lot of smoking up the fags. Everybody smoked. And then after a while, that all got shoved out. You weren't allowed to smoke in the office. And so we all used to climb out onto the roof and smoke out there. It was very involved. The smoking bit was the bit that I remember, not the eating.
And how long were you at Smash Hits for in the end?
Not that long, really. So this is the issue we're going to talk about is, so that's kind of June, July 1990. And I started, so it must have been like September 88, so under a couple of years, really.
Yeah.
But it was very intense. We would do no work for a week, and then we would work absolutely loads the second week. And so that meant the second week you'd be up really, really late to get things on time and stuff, really. I mean, it's a classic kind of journalism, really. The first week you just doss about, second week you do all the work. And it was just intense because we were quite intense people and the emotions were intense and the music was quite good and quite changing a lot of the time. Like I remember us all watching Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You, all just crowded around the telly watching the video. And I remember doing the same for Vogue as well. And I remember when Like a Prayer came into the office, we were just obsessed with pop as if it was good. We just couldn't believe it, really. We really believed in it. We just really loved it, you know.
So we are looking at an issue from 1990, like you say. Why did you choose this particular one for us to peruse?
Well, there's a few reasons, I suppose. So it was my last issue. And it sounds a bit ego-ish, but I don't mean it to be ego-ish, but it's like I feel quite sentimental about this issue, I suppose, really. I did the cover interview, which was the Stone Roses, and it was quite a hard interview to do, which I will tell you about. But and also, so the Stone Roses were incredibly important for Manchester. I'm from near Manchester. They kind of ushered in. It felt like to me they ushered in a different era. So it felt like everything about this felt like a bit of change for me. Like I left after that and I went away for a bit and then I started working on Select magazine and I did a bit for Smash Hits, but it wasn't the same. And the Stone Roses for me ushered into an era that could then become Oasis. Like I don't really feel like, I know Britpop's different, but I feel like there's something about the Stone Roses and how big they were. That somehow meant that we could understand that Britpop could be big. And there was something about them not making the second album for very long, that there was a gap where Britpop could come in. And because, so basically I've written a book like kind of about that era. And this seemed like a little bit like a kickoff point for that, really. The end of one thing is shifting into another, what it feels like to me.
Well, let's take a look at the issue in question, 27th of June to 10th of July, 1990. To give a bit of context, the cover stars either side of this issue. So the two issues before this, we had Adamski and Betty Boo. The two issues after this, it was Craig McLachlan and Candy Flip. So I think that, that gives us an idea of the times, a reference point for the times that we're dealing in. And yes, Miranda's got the cover story. The Stone Roses were the best band on the planet. But which planet? With a photo of the Roses on the front. Ian Brown is doing something with his lips, but we'll find out more about that when we get to the feature and why he's doing that with his lips. It also promises MC Tunes, Sonia and Big Fun, 5-star. Roxette, Maxi Priest, New Kids on the Block, a free 8-page Madonna spectacular, posters of Betty Boo, Bobby Brown, the Charlatans, the Inspiral Carpets. It misses out. It doesn't mention the poster of Guru Josh on the back.
Unbelievable.
Oh, no, crazy.
Shocking. And 14 hit song words. So let's have a look at those song words, shall we? See what we've got in this issue. So we've got MC Tunes versus 808 State, The Only Rhyme That Bites. Bobby Brown, the Freestyle Mega Mix. Big Fun and Sonia, You've Got a Friend. Yell, One Thing Leads to Another. Pavarotti, Ness and Dorman. Now, that was, when I saw that in there, I thought, I know where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even a football follower, but
Yeah.
that just plunged me straight into, it's like, oh, yeah. Stone Roses, One Love. Roxette, It Must Have Been Love. D-Shake, yeah. Snap, Oops Up. Diana Brown and Barry K. Sharp, The Master Plan. Jason Donovan, Another Night. 49ers, Girl to Girl. Elton John, Sacrifice. And Guru Josh, Whose Law Is It Anyway? But the contents page, I did enjoy the little one-liners that accompany the contents. So bits, it says, it's motorway madness with the messiest news desk in town. Top. Crossword, hence the name. The Stone Roses, Ian, Manny, Rennie, and the one no one fancies. It's an accommodating trousered extravaganza.
Oh dear.
5-star, have they really sold their gold-plated tin opener collection? Roxette, they're rich, they're famous, they're foreign. Sonia and Big Fun, polish your cheekbones, waiter. It's the new supergroup of the 90s. The posters, rave with glee as we take you through the pictorial exploits of Bobby Brown, Betty Boo, the Charlatans, and the Spiral Carpets. Madonna, it's the complete story. Is Dick Tracy any cop? Does her live fiesta feature breakdancing iguanas? And what does she have for breakfast? All this and very much more will be revealed in the glossy full-colour centre pages. New kids. This week, folks, it's John and Jordan in the hot seat. That's the gamble. So that's part 2 of a new kids feature. Letters, more ugly gits in pop. Maxi Priest, Tales from the Jason Donovan of Reggae.
And also, they've forgotten to mention, I have to say, we've forgotten to mention that actually there's song words for Maxi Priest as well, and that's not even mentioned in the...
Oh,
no.
Blimey. No, it's not. Oh. Yeah. A review, new singles, new albums, Jason's view of the charts, and Prince live. Better than a pair of trainers and an aspirin, in inverted commas. MC tunes, he's rough, he's tough, and he's had enough.
So I just think, when I read that, I thought, I wrote that. Those last two bits, better than a pair of trainers and an aspirin, and he's rough, he's tough, he's had enough. I thought, oh, yeah, that's me.
It's good claim ownership. It's good. Blimey. Interesting Gordons on the pop blower. Lines are open now, kids. Star teaser. Yup. And Nosy Parker. His nose is so big it takes up 2 seats on the bus. I really, really enjoyed that contents page. I mean, it just kind of tells you everything you need to know without even having to read the features.
Yeah, don't bother.
yeah, we're not bother. We just end the podcast right here. It's fine.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. But that takes us straight into a little feature on Janet Jackson.
Yeah, that's right. We've got half a page on Janet, and it's a little phone interview. It doesn't say who she's done it with, but she's polite, almost nauseatingly so. To be honest, it's a little bit on the dull side, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. Yes.
She's very professional.
She's a bit of... She's still the same, isn't she, really, I think?
Yeah, I saw her about a month ago playing in Manchester, and let me tell you, she's still got the pipes, she's still got the moves. But yeah, this interview, I mean, just to give you a little flavour of it, she talks about being on tour. She says, I like the bus best of all, I think. I hate to fly, you see, but we have such fun on the bus. We play games, we bring films along, and if we get bored with that, we read, we eat sandwiches and fruit. We try to make it as much fun as possible. It doesn't sound like a lot of fun.
Sounds like she's never been on a tour bus to me.
I'm sorry, I've fallen asleep.
Yeah.
I think she's just imagining what's going on a tour bus. And she doesn't actually travel on it. It sounds like, oh, this is what I think happens, but I'm just saying that I go on the tour bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing approaching any kind of controversy is a bit later on. I think in a desperate bid to try and liven things up a little, the journalist starts asking about Paula Abdul because apparently the tabloids have been trying to engineer a bit of beef between them. But even that doesn't work. She says that they get on really well. They tried to make out that there's lots of rivalry between us, but there's not. I love Paula and I'm really proud of her and her success. I'm so tired of people trying to do that. I mean, it's just awful. It really is. We send one another flowers. That's how we communicate, because we never catch each other when we call because we're never at home. So, yeah, it's just all a bit past the sick bucket, mother.
It is a little bit. I mean, the thing that saves it is there's a nice picture of her, which is labelled as a poster. And she's got interesting earrings.
Yeah.
She's got one hoop earring with what genuinely looks like her door key on it.
It's a Yale lock, isn't it? That, yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about the design?
Absolutely.
So this is definitely, as soon as I saw it, this is definitely, I can tell who's designed by, and who's designed by is Caroline Grimshaw. And she used to design for Q, and then she came to us. And what's funny for me is that I can tell who designed Smash Hits just even by like a quick glimpse in that time. So Caroline has a very particular style. Her style has got quite, because if you remember, like obviously it's not done on a computer at all. So like there's kind of like quite interesting kind of little extra bits that she'll always put in, almost like a photograph of a piece of cloth or something like that. And at the time, I preferred another designer's design, and that was Jackie Doyle, because hers was very clean and sharp. And now I look at it, I think, God, it's actually really artistic what she's trying to do. She's got like next to Janet Jackson, on the bit that is the contents page, she's got something really weird going on next to it. Can you see it? It's like almost like a piece of painting next to it. And then the words over the top of it.
Yeah.
It's quite unusual.
Yeah.
I guess it's going on a bit of a Stone Roses vibe as well, with
exactly.
the whole Jackson Pollock thing. I mean, it's not Jackson Pollock, but yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it's definitely a kind of art vibe.
Yeah. And I think looking at bits as well, because it's a travel-themed bits.
Yeah.
The colours on there, it's reminded me very much of a bird's trifle. But I mean, Miranda, you were. It says in the credits for this mag that you were bits editor at this point.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. I was like, was I? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, all that meant was really you just got there's different areas of Smash Hits, but with bits, it's like, okay, these are the things that are happening, but not quite big enough for a feature, really. So you need to cover them, but what are you going to do? So like we've got Soul to Soul is in bits. It's where they're playing, really. So what jokes can you make around that? And then D-Shake is in the charts, but they don't, there's not much to say about D-Shake. So we just did what's the difference between D-Shake and Shaking Stevens? Why would you not? And then there is a little interview in it. So you have lots of different ways. When I look at it, it's just lots of different ways of approaching smaller artists, or not even smaller artists, maybe artists that are on the way up. Do you know what I mean? They've not quite hit feature level yet, or it's just a bit of information like a tour, or we've got a little competition, and that needs to go in this smaller section, really.
Yeah. Or in the case of Bananarama, hey kids, remember us? Well, we better remind you, we're Sarah, Karen and Jackie, and together we form Bananarama. We've just popped in to say that we're back from our rest cure at Dumper Mansions. And then we've got a great new tune out.
I know, it's so funny, isn't it, as well, because Bananarama, they have never really been in the dumper, have they? It's ironic. They're always out of the dumper, I think. But, things like that, they've got also, like, I love the way you say they, but it was actually me. I did this. But when you mentioned Adamski, you said, the couple of issues before with the cover of Adamski, and I really remember that cover, and it's actually featured in this, and I really remember it because he had a dog, and on the back of that issue is a picture of the dog because it's so cute. And it was very hard for us to know how to treat and act like Adamski, because he was, obviously, it's a massive hit that everybody loves, but the singer was Seal. The song was made by Adamski, but the singer was Seal. So who is the person that you focus on? It was really hard for a pop magazine. And Adamski was actually almost like the more interesting person for us. So we had to kind of sell him. So we had like a dog, how to make a hit record in your bedroom. But he's not like a conventional star because he doesn't do the singing. It was really hard for us to know how to treat him, really, to make him Smash Hitsy,
Yeah, I mean, we chatted to Caroline briefly a few episodes back, and she said that it was a challenge around this time with the pop stars that were, they weren't pop stars that they were coming through, because it was all, all stuff that you'd listen to down the rave up. So it's all DJs and knob twiddlers and things. And it's like, how do you make these people interesting?
Yeah, because also they literally don't want to be pop stars. They're kind of almost setting themselves up against that, aren't they? Yeah. Not all of them. I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them were. And so then it's like, how do you sell them? Because we love the music, and it's number one. Adamski was number one. You got to cover it.
Mm.
And so how do you do it? He was actually not too difficult, but some of them were really hard because the whole point of it was it's an anonymous track. I mean, it's the kind of thing that also Top of the Pops was kind of struggling with as well, wasn't it, really? But, you know, we were all for Milli Vanilli, to be honest. They were very good pop stars. We thought they were great.
Yeah.
They were excellent pop stars. They looked fantastic. They were hilarious in interviews. And then they weren't allowed to be pop stars because they weren't the proper singers. It's difficult.
So does a band like the Stone Roses then come along and kind of fill that void?
Well, I mean, it's interesting with the Stone Roses as well because they're not exactly pop, are they? So the thing that appeals in a pop way is there's 4 of them. You can pick the one you like the best. That's very pop. Their music is incredibly tuneful, but they're not pop. They're not pop in the way that Madonna is pop or Kylie. They're not aiming at that audience, are they? They're aiming at a different audience. They're aiming at an indie audience. It's just that they transferred over, and that doesn't always happen. So you could be in a band that maybe of that ilk. So let's say the Inspiral Carpets. They weren't a pop band because you couldn't identify Remember. The songs weren't strong enough. They had good T-shirts, but they didn't have that kind of visual package that you needed for pop, really. And also the Stone Roses were just like, they just took over. It sometimes happens, doesn't it? Like a band is there and then everyone likes them. Like everyone likes them. The kids like them. The credible music people like them. Everybody likes them. And so then of course you have to cover them because they are important, but you have to make them smash it, see?
I do remember this summer of 1990 going away for my summer holes with my parents and coming back 2 weeks later, not seen Top of the Pops for 2 weeks, just heard little bits of, a little bit of charts on the radio and stuff, and coming back. And it felt like everything had changed. So I'd gone away and we'd been listening to things like, more kind of rock things, bands like Gun and Red Hot Chili Peppers and Faith No More. And I came back and all my mates were listening to Soup Dragons, I'm Free, and One Love was in the charts, and there was the Charlatans and the Inspiral Carpets and Happy Mondays, Step On. And he was like, hang on, what happened while I was on holiday?
And aren't you glad you were saved from the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
I was saved from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I absolutely was. But yeah, and you do get a real sense of that change in this issue. Not only you got the Stone Roses in there, but you got posters of the Charlatans and the Inspiral Carpets. And yeah, and it does feel, and you listen to the playlist as well, that's on Spotify, kids, and YouTube as well. And it is like a breath of fresh air. And when you do come across things like, there's a couple of Stock Aitken and Waterman tunes on there.
And they sound terrible, don't they? They sound terrible.
This sounds so old. And yet 6 months prior, or in 89, they were ruling the world.
Yeah.
And I think by the middle of 1990, we were getting proper 1990 music.
It's funny. I remember, because I really remember 1990. Like, I remember at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Like, there was a series of tracks that made me think, we've just won. Like, we have won. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, Snap the Power. There was Nothing Compared to You. There was Like a Prayer. I think it was Like a Prayer. It might have been Vogue. I can't remember. It might have been Vogue, actually. But it was one of Madonna's greats. I think it was Vogue. There was Adamski. It was like every number one was not only a kind of amazing pop single, it was like a proper record. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, we've won. Like, I quite often think this. I'm always wrong. But we've won. Like, all the right people are getting to number one. This is correct. They are ticking all the pop boxes. They are interesting. They are original. They look great. They make brilliant videos. The songs are fantastic. This is correct. And then it all went wrong, then people like Bryan Adams come along and mess it all up. But for a while I did think, yeah, we've won. We've done it. Dance music and pop music have merged to create this new thing that is absolutely brilliant. 1990 was good, wasn't it?
It's all right.
It was a good time. Yeah.
Gav, anything for you standing out in this these few pages of bits?
Yeah, I really liked the some of the little headlines, like the piece introducing Diana Brown. Miranda was talking about sort of up and coming pop stars, and the little headline for Diana Brown says she's got a wig and a master plan. Lucky devil. What more do you need in life? So I was very fond of that, and also you talked earlier, Miranda, about D Shake and Shaky, spot the difference, which is great. For example, DJ Shake, he had his car stolen recently, whereas Shakin' Stevens, he's never had his car stolen to the best of Bits' knowledge. So, there's a dividing line right there.
Yeah. Or this one, DJ Shake used to have an administrator's job in a hospital. Shaky has never had a job in a hospital. He was born to rock and roll. Oh, dearie me.
Just a great way of filling up a little bit of space.
Yeah, and there's also that pop and travel. I like that piece, which is just like this.
Yes,
basically, it's a space in Bits, and we clearly didn't really know what to do, so we just did. Oh, isn't the world of transport an exciting one, readers? And then we just do like planes, cars, vans, buses, and combine harvesters, and then see where they are in pop.
Yes, I like the Vans one. A useful phrase in the cosmos that is pop, with the number of personalities, Van Morrison and, of course, Jason Dono Van, actually adopting this versatile word in their names.
These are all we need. But I have to say, the page that stands out for me, because I remember doing this, is the Rock Landmark Tourist Map of Manchester, because I did that.
That must have been a lot of fun to do.
Well, it's just funny that because I was going up and down because I've obviously still got friends in Manchester. And so some of the stuff that is included in this rock band of Manchester is like not controversial, but it's quite specific. So there's got certain things. It's like, okay, this is where certain bands live. So like Didsbury, that's where Rennie lives. And like in Chorlton, that's where Ian Brown and John Squire and Manny live. And so you have lots of different, this is the Arndale Centre, which is where the Happy Monday started, things like that. But there's very specific things, like there's a bit here, Burton Road, which is a very specific road in Withington, stroke Didsbury. And there's a pub there called the Midland, which at the time was basically divided into two. And one side was like the normal people sitting in very brightly lit room drinking their pints of lager. And the other side was literally a mental rave. I mean, just mad, like absolutely mad. And then I put that in on Thursdays and Saturdays. The floor-filling Manchester Vibes in the Area night out is held, and that was run. Well, we knew the DJs, but there was an MC called Fonzo Buller who used to go, "Manchester Vibes in the Area, come over, don't be shy, me lions, me lionesses." And eventually, he ended up on. I think that year actually, he ended up on stage with the Happy Mondays. At Glastonbury.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
So there's like very specific little things. I was like, I can't believe I put that in. But anyway, I did.
I like the topical reference on number 6, Strange Ways, controversial cog in the judicial machine. This jail is popular for roof parties. And of course, we'd had the Strange Ways riots a couple of months earlier.
Yeah. I mean, what was I thinking? I don't know, I just thought it was funny. All these are just like things that made me laugh. You know what I mean?
And obviously number 10 as well, the aforementioned Eccles cake, which we know helped you, sweeten the deal for you to come on the carousel in the first place.
It did, yeah.
Many people enjoy the tasty Eccles cakes, which originate from this area, not least those ever-hungry pop stars. Yeah, it's a great little rough guide to Manchester.
Yeah, very funny. There's a picture of an Eccles cake as well, I hope you noticed.
There is, yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And number 13, Dumplington. Not famous for anything to do with pop music, but it's quite an amusing name anyway.
When I say that is an indication, that and the Stone Roses is a kind of, is indicating what's happening, isn't it? Even within the Smash Hits world, this has to be acknowledged that Manchester is now happening. Yeah,
and also it's your parting gift to Smash Hits and the readers,
It is, my Mancunian knowledge. I have been to all these places. and even bits like I put the hacienda in, which is obviously like important, but these bits here I remember what I'm writing about. So it's like this breathtaking nightery is partly owned by New Order and has exciting one-off events such as living sculptures. It was basically an evening where they just had people hanging off the walls that were like living sculptures, and fashion shows hosted by local papier-mâché headed celebrity Frank Sidebottom. And I was at that as well. That's the kind of nonsense that was going on. Yeah, this even at the end, it says, next week, Bits spends a few idyllic days of sun-kissed leisure in Barrow-in-Furness. My gran lived there. It's like another It's like another joke for me. But anyway, yes, I found it very cheering reading these bits. I think that all news should be presented like this.
So we were just talking about Manchester, so let's head on to see what's going on with the Stone Roses. We've talked about them a little bit already.
Yeah.
Some crazy young journalist called Miranda Sawyer sets out on Rock's Lost Highway to interview the band. They're 2.5 hours late, which doesn't bode well for the start, and Miranda gets to interview them individually. So reading through sort of my impressions of them, and Miranda, you can perhaps talk about this in a moment and see if this kind of chimes with your memories. But John comes across as being quite quiet and introspective. Ian seems confident and just not easily impressed by anything or anyone, really. Rennie's very enigmatic, but may just be very stoned. And Manny seems the most down-to-earth, if a little bit hyper. I mean, what are your memories of that day? I imagine there's a story or two to tell there.
Yeah, I can remember it really specifically. So I was really excited because I loved the Stone Roses. And I went up there, and the big deal was the photograph. Like, what were we going to do with them in the photograph? And also, they had a reputation, and they were a little bit difficult. Not in themselves. They just didn't care about quite a lot of the stuff that you need them to care about in order to put them in a magazine, right? So they didn't care about being on time, really. And in order to do the photo, the reason why those photos worked was a photographer had got a big kind of, you normally, for smash hits, you would have a big, very brightly coloured backdrop. It would just be like a bright green or something like that, and they'd have to stand in front of it. But what he'd done, and, you know, bear in mind, this was quite a big deal at the time, he'd got a backdrop, and then he'd put quite cosmic pictures up. So he put an underwater picture, and he put a picture of planets up there. And they loved it. Ian Brown loved that. Like, he absolutely loved it. And that was almost why we got the photo, because I think if they hadn't been so cosmic, they wouldn't have been so good about the photos, really. But Ian Brown absolutely loved it. He just thought they were brilliant. And so the photos, I think the photos are great. Like, I think they're actually some of the best photos you're going to get of the Stone Roses, because they're hard to photograph because of who they are, but they look completely iconic. They all look great. And that's an era where you can't touch them up. Like, you can't alter what they look like. You just have to take the photograph. Obviously, you can't even see what the photograph's going to be other than the Polaroid. And those photos are really, really good. They look fantastic, I think. I love them all, those photos. And then they had individual ones as well. Anyway, we were in the photographer's studio, and they all came in. They were fine. Ian Brown wrote me a little note, I remember, he wrote, "No more flares, too many sheep." He wrote me a little note.
Yeah.
And so they were all there, and that was great. And the photographs took a bit of time. They were late. So I remember, I think Rennie was really quite late. I can't remember. Anyway, they were late. And then they said to me, right, we've got to go and see this video. Like, they were making a video for One Love, which is actually, it is the video. It's got lots of flames in it. And they said, look, we've got to go and see whatever the cut-off of the video was. But they didn't invite me to come along with them. And the weird thing was I don't know why I was staying there, but for some reason I was staying at this older couple's house. I didn't know them, but like, I think Smash Hits hadn't got me a hotel. They'd just got me this kind of weird B&B affair. So I was left sitting in these older people's living room waiting for the Stone Roses to then get in touch with me, call up and meet them again. And I just thought, after a while, oh, honestly, fuck this. And I went out. I'm not waiting for them anymore. This is just stupid. So I met up with my friends and we went out. And then,
good on you.
And what was funny about it is they thought this was quite cool. They were just like, oh, like, they'd come back to find me like hours late because they just operated hours late. And this older man and woman went, no, she's gone out. And they were like, oh, all right. And so then they thought I was quite cool. So
nice
I did
one.
nice one. And so then I did the interviews on the phone. Definitely Manny I did on the phone. So I might have done a couple before, but I hadn't finished it off. And I did a few on the phone afterwards.
Yeah.
But they liked me because I just did that. But I did think, oh, come on. It was like, it got to like 10 o'clock at night. And I was just like, sod this. I'm off, mate. You're clearly not turning up. But what I would say is they were all really good to interview, meaning that they were really interesting. And when I read it, the thing that strikes me is that Rennie, when I read it, I think that it's just interesting when I read it. He tells her like a really funny story about like he was driving his girlfriend's car. He didn't have any insurance. He didn't have a license, nothing like that. And he just smashed into the back of some other woman's car and rushed home. So he just got out of the car and left it.
Just did one.
Just did one, exactly. But when I read that now, I think, oh, he came from quite a tough background. He had quite a tough time. But I was just oblivious to that in that time. I just wouldn't really have got it, right? Like when I'm asking him questions, there's quite often points where he's pausing and then answering. Do you know what I mean? Because he's trying, you would ask quite nosy questions. And what I know now is if you ask nosy questions of people who are only really used to being questioned by authority, it's hard. It's really hard. They don't why would they assume that you're on their side? Do you know what I mean? And that's what I read when I read Rennie's, actually. You know what I mean? He did
he's quite guarded.
Yeah, well, he just said what's the room like? He doesn't have posters on the wall. He doesn't have any records. I never had a record player. I never had any records. They're too crap. I like tapes and CDs. You can chuck them about. I haven't got. I just read it and I just feel like, oh, you had just bit of a difficult time, more than the others is what I think when I read it. But I really fancied Rennie, I have to say. Incredibly good looking and really fun. And he was the first person I ever saw who could wear socks and sandals and still look fit. And he did.
That's quite a trick to pull off.
It is a real trick to pull off. That's how cool that man was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ice cool.
Ice. He was ice. And then Manny was just hilarious. He's he's absolutely brilliant kind of person to interview. Because I think, as I remember, I interviewed him on the phone and then the tape hadn't worked. And so I had to get in touch with him and say, I'm really sorry, I've got to do it again. He just didn't care. He was fine. It was really funny.
There's some quite horrible stuff in it where he talks about working in an abattoir.
Yep.
For 4 months when I was about 19. He says it was horrible. The people who worked there were proper head cases. You just walk around and then all of a sudden you get hit in the face with a lung or a heart or something. Having your ankles tied together and being strung upside down on a meat hook and having your kecks whipped off, blood and all that poured over you. But I always tumbled the plot whenever they were about to get me. I mean, Glenn Medeiros wouldn't have ever put up with any of that.
He would not, no. But Manny, you wouldn't get anything past Manny. There's no way they strung him up by his kecks. He just wouldn't have had it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was quite there's part of Manny. He should have kind of been in the Happy Mondays. Do you know what I mean? He's very like Sean and Bez, and I mean he's incredibly charismatic. That's why he can get then go on to Primal Scream because he just gets on with everyone really. But he was almost more like the Happy Mondays than he was like the Stone Roses, if you saw what I mean. And then Ian was he was just madly good looking. I think people forgot actually. He was really, really good looking and incredibly charismatic in a really quiet way. Proper front man. And people always now people are a bit rude about it. I think maybe, because they think, oh, his voice wasn't very good or that, now he's a bit of a, conspiracy theorist or whatever. But honestly, he was amazing. He walked into a room and you just who was that? He looked brilliant.
He's self-mythologizing already. In this one, you ask him what his earliest memory is. He says, being about 5 at school and being asked to give out the school milk and I refused to do it. I said, no, just put the milk crate on the desk. Everyone can get their own. I don't know why. I think it was the first day or something, but I thought if I did it then, I'd have to do it every day. So I said, no. In the end, that's what they did. They put the milk on the table and had everyone come to get their own. Yeah, I changed the system from the start. You have to, and it's like, oh yeah, he's like kind of self-mythologizing. Maybe that is a true story. I don't know, but yeah, he sort of states his individuality and not wanting to follow the herd and stuff right from the get-go.
The thing I felt when I read this piece as well, because I remember it took me a really long time because I had so much information actually. So I could have written it like much, much longer, but you can't in Smash Hits. And the thing that I thought about it, which is it's not really about me, it's about Smash Hits, is that there is so much information in this piece. Like there's absolutely loads of information about where they were born, who they were born to, what they were like when they were kids, there's loads of information. And it's more than you get in the NME because they don't ask things like that. They don't ask their precise date. They don't ask about the mum and dad's names. They don't ask about what the mum and dads do or how many other sisters and brothers they've got or what they hate or how many criminals they know or whatever. There's loads of information in there because that's what we were taught to do. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like I used to say to people at the beginning, I used to say, look, my first few, some of these questions are going to sound like police questions, to be honest, because I want to know when you were born, where, what your mum and dad's name were, what your sisters and brothers' names were, and then I would do the Smash Hits questions. But I wanted all that proper information that you just didn't get in other music magazines, really. They didn't bother.
Did that just kind of ground everything,
yeah,
as it were, and kind of give it a centre, and then you could build out from there?
Yeah, and it's kind of like, if say, for instance, Ian Brown was born in Ancoats, so to anyone from Manchester, you know what that means. And then and his mum worked in a paper factory and his dad used to be a joiner, right? So where he's from, really. Do you know what I mean? And this one, and Rennie, he really doesn't want to give me any information at all. No one knows where I was born. My mum was moving about a lot of the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to tell me. He really doesn't want to tell me. And I think there's quite a lot of kind of information in there that you wouldn't have got because in other magazines because they wouldn't have asked them, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of implicit extra stuff, isn't there? That
what you don't realise, I don't even think I was really understanding that what I was finding out was about class a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because you're always finding out about class in Britain, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like where people are from, how they met, what they were doing if they weren't doing that, what were the terrible jobs that they had. And those kind of things make people, even if you're not kind of writing a thesis about it, it makes them relatable.
Yeah.
If your dad's a joiner, we all know people like that, don't we? Like you think, oh, well, it's a real person here.
Makes them more relatable, whether it's your parents or an older brother or sister or cousins and things like that. It's also it gives you a bit of almost like a flavour, a snapshot of the times as well. When you ask Ian, "Are you in love?" And this is what he replies with: "Yeah, who with? Lots of people. The group, my family, all my friends. Sometimes them people that you just see on a bus and you just love them, and then you look at them and they grin at you and you just love them."
Isn't that great?
Cosmic, man.
I love it.
I love that answer. But yeah, I mean, it's 1990.
Yeah, isn't it?
Everybody's loved up.
Yeah. I remember what I really remember about writing this piece is, like I said, I had so much information about it, but I really loved the Stone Roses and I really, really wanted it to be good. I really wanted this piece to be good. And I remember writing, because it's not like I didn't have a computer at home or anything. You had to be in the office to write, And so I remember just staying in the office really late at night to try and finish it because even though you had to write in the office was absolute chaos. So quite often you were better kind of almost writing in the middle of the night in the office. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, actually, as we all gradually left Smash Hits, we would get an Amstrad and take it home. But it was like an enormous great thing. It just wasn't like it is now. You just had to be in the office to write, really. But because it was chaos, you just wrote in the middle of the night. And I really remember taking a long time about it. I really wanted it to be good. It was so important to me.
How did that work if you're doing a late night shift? Did you have a spare set of keys and the last one had to lock up? Or
yeah, it must have been.
Do you remember those details?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, there was definitely one of those kind of rattly, what do you call them? Those metal
roll shutter
shutters.
thing.
Down. There's definitely one of those. So yes, we must have had keys. And there was also there was like a cage door. So there's a door and then a cage door. What I do remember is we all used to abuse the Smash Hits cab account. That's what I remember mostly. So you'd get a cab home and you would feel, well, for me, that was incredibly exciting, obviously. And I lived in Clapham Junction at the time, so South London, and you would get a cab from Carnaby Street, in the middle of the night, 3 a.m, or whatever, home. And it just felt so madly glamorous. Like going over a bridge over London. Do you know what I mean? Seeing all the lights.
Yeah.
And you'd just been in Smash Hits. It's just like unbelievable.
Living the dream. Decadence.
Yeah, so decadent.
But going back to the photos, and obviously, you've got the shot on the cover, and then another group shot, and then individual shots of them. Ian and Manny kind of they're doing this thing with their lips. Are they getting ready to whistle? Are they making noises and stuff? And we get you explain what's going on.
Yeah.
So Ian Brown gets hold of the sample Polaroids that have been taken, and he says, "Look at me pouting in every one, always the same. Even as a kid, I can't help it. The camera goes, and I just go whoo."
He goes whoo.
I was it whoo, like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As the Hits photographer snaps away, it soon becomes clear that all the Roses pouting pictures, even the silent John, he's got no time to talk. He's too busy thinking, says Manny. They all make wavy hand movements, throw their arms about, and rather strangely, all mouth, you know, at the camera, which sounds a little bit sinister in a way.
It's really ravey.
Yeah,
really,
is that what
really
it is?
Ravey.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really like, so they're kind of going, I mean, this is an oral medium rather than a visual medium, but if you imagine they're kind of going, not big fish, little fish, cardboard box, more like waving their hands, so the hands are flat.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of making wave movements with their hands. It's just really ravey, honestly. It's really like they're in the corner of the hacienda making rave movements. That's what it is. A lot of it, I think, really.
Throwing some rave shapes.
Yeah, it's really throwing some rave shapes. But it's funny, the one in the middle, like, Rennie looks ridiculously good looking. John looks pretty good. And then Ian and Manny are both go like that with their mouths.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like what young girls do now on...
Totally is, yeah.
On Snap and stuff,
Bit
isn't
of
it?
pouting.
Yeah, with the pouting.
Yeah.
It's really funny. But they look fantastic, don't they? Don't you think? They all look really good looking.
They've all got really good hair, I think.
Really good hair, great faces. Like, I think they're almost underestimated how brilliant they look. I mean, maybe actually they're not actually. It's not underestimated how brilliant they look, because they did look fantastic. And you could draw a cartoon of them, and that's the most important thing for a pop star, isn't it? Otherwise, they're not a pop star. I.e. Taylor Swift, not a pop star. Can't draw a cartoon of her. Just saying.
If John Squire's listening, he might be a bit upset because we've not talked about him.
I
yet,
can
have
talk
we?
about him. We can talk about him.
Your reminiscences.
He was much the quietest. He's much the quietest, like by a long way. So, like, obviously, as a person and as a journalist, I like chatty people, and like the others are more chatty. They're more muck about more. Do you know what I mean? And he was just much quieter, and he wasn't unfriendly. And when I interviewed him by himself, he was completely fine, but he was just quieter than the others. And the reason why I interviewed them all separately was because I learned very early on in Smash Hits, if you interviewed bands, a certain kind of band, the Lars I learned this from, actually, is if you interview them all together, you don't get anything.
Are they all too self-conscious of what they're saying?
Yeah, they're too, like, they're there to impress each other. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you pick them off one by one, then you get loads. But you can't interview them.
And they haven't got an audience either, I guess, then.
I mean, even with the Levelers. I interviewed the Levelers a few years later for Select, and they were horrible to me in Glastonbury. They just didn't want me there. And they eventually said to whoever their manager was, I just said, look, I can't do this feature unless somebody talks to me, so I'm just going to talk to them individually. Individually, delightful. That's my top tip. Top tip is if you want to interview a band that seems quite scary, and the Stone Roses could, and bands can seem quite scary, can't they? Because they're a band. so the Happy Mondays could seem quite scary or whatever. Just do them individually and they're just nice as pie. That's what I found. What did you think when you read the feature? Did you like it?
It made me like them more because I was wary of them back in the day. And I was like 15, 16, and I was in a band and stuff. But they reminded me of the kids at school that would hang around in gangs that I would avoid. I was easily intimidated.
No, they could be intimidating
as a kid. Yeah, and so I was just sort of like, I'm not sure about these, and also the way that they just became so popular, and like came from nowhere, and all of a sudden everybody was talking about them, and all the popular kids at school were into the Stone Roses, and so that immediately I don't want to know about them then. But it did make me warm to them more, and I do think you bring across each one of their personalities really well, even down to bringing out their accents and things. Some of the parts you're writing in their voice.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that now, can you? Because I think it's considered to be bad form, actually. But it's not like a Mickey take.
No, it's not.
Obviously, I talk a bit like them anyway, so like that would be kind of taking the Mickey out of yourself, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're trying to get what they're like over. They were really nice, honestly. They were really, really nice. I really liked them.
Yeah.
But I was the same as you. I thought they would be intimidating because they were presented as intimidating, or they presented themselves as intimidating, didn't they? So like there was a few kind of interviews I'd seen on the telly where they're sitting in a group and I just remember it now. I thought they were so cool though. Whereas there's some poor interviewer was going, so, you're with you like a psychedelic sound. And then there's just this huge gap of silence, nothing to, and then Manny just goes, or maybe John, he just goes, what psychedelic? And now, honestly, I just feel for the interviewer. Although the questions were rubbish, I still feel for the interviewer. And so, like the other thing I knew about them was that they shouted amateurs at Tracy McLeod, wasn't it, on Later?
Yes, on the Late Show, yeah.
When the sound blew. And so, I was a bit scared that they might be horrible to me, but they really weren't. But I think it was because I asked the questions that they were interested in. So I didn't ask him about their reputation or anything like that. I mean, what can you say about anything like that? You know what I mean? It's just, there's nothing.
Not the new musical direction.
I mean, there's nothing to say. Like if somebody just goes, are you the best band in the world? And they go, yeah. And they go, why? And they just go, 'cause we are. Like, it's just, there's nothing to talk about that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of this dumb question. I don't know. That's why Smash Hits is better. Because they ask better questions. You have to ask better questions.
What about you, Gav? What's your relationship with the Stone Roses, and did this piece change your
I was
mind?
like you, yeah, because I was a sensitive young lad as well, and I kind of found them quite because they're a lot more streetwise and more northern than I was, which was quite intimidating. I grew up in the Midlands, and I'd been a huge fan of the Smiths, who obviously from the same part of the world, but there wasn't that kind of cocky swagger that you had with the Stone Roses. The Smiths were more sensitive and more kind of appealing to the quiet, shy, literate types whereas the Stone Roses, they had a very wide appeal, didn't they? Because they did appeal to, once the Smiths had split up, I think the Stone Roses took quite a lot of the sort of fans of the Smiths, but then they also took on a new crowd as well, didn't they? And people like dance music as well, and rave culture. So I didn't really get them. They never felt like my band at all. And I liked some of the stuff, but I never kind of warmed to them. And by this point as well, I wasn't reading Smash Hits. I was reading the weekly papers. So I never really had that feeling of who they were as characters. But reading this now, it's actually really interesting, finding out you're talking about Rennie and his background. I think that's a really amazing little interview, like all the little
he's so
bits
interesting.
In there. And you get
he?
that sense of how difficult his young life must have been, and it sounds like quite chaotic and quite challenging. And John's sort of art thing, it talks about John's room, and he's talking about having a Degas impressionist painting in there, and black curtains, and a big squashy settee, and and plants and stuff. And it's really interesting, all that little extra info in there. So like I said, I wasn't a big fan, but it's really interesting to read this. And I think the fact that you were talking about how difficult it was with people like maybe Adamski and, Bomb the Bass and S Express to kind of, how do we write about these people? But with the Stone Roses, you had those four characters, and particularly Ian, I guess, and John. People had quite a strong sense of who they were and the dynamics between them. So you can really see that working with the Smash Hits audience.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You see, I think I got sent up to do people like Happy Mondays and the Stone Roses and to write things about Manchester because although, I could see that they were intimidating, I wasn't that scared of them because I'd been out in Manchester, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm completely middle class. I'm from quite a posh area of Manchester, but I really like going out and I like music and I like the Hacienda and things like that. And so then you just I'd met loads of people like them. Do you know what I mean? So like I wasn't that frightened of them, but I think that I can see why they were and are intimidating. It's the same thing with Oasis as well. It's just, there's a kind of cockiness, a defiance around them. And you worry that you might get a tongue lashing is what you're really worried about.
Yeah.
But actually in the end, they're nearly all of them. Sean Ryder, delightful. He's a delightful bloke. Bez, delightful. I mean, obviously, at certain points they have done, well, Sean in particular, I imagine it's done not very nice things at all. But actually, if you get him individually, he's really, really nice. And like all of that, I never had a bad interview with any Mancunian, actually. They were all really brilliant.
Okay, we leave the Stone Roses in Manchester, in the area, and we go past 5 Star. Well, they were dumper bound, so I think we're going to skip over them this time. We've talked about 5 Star in the past. And we head over to Stockholm because Sean Patton is there talking to Roxette. A very grumpy Roxette, it must be said. She talks about what Stockholm looks like. It's quite interesting, actually, for teenage kids to know what it was like. She says the buildings in Stockholm fall into 2 categories, grey and light grey. The streets are immaculately clean and there's lots of good-looking, fit and healthy muesli advert types riding about on bicycles because it's so beneficial to the lymphatic nervous bicathode system, etc. And it's very cold. And there's Roxette standing by the docks as the photographer sorts out his lens caps. They shiver and sulk and look mighty narked with the whole situation. And to make things worse, they're stopped approximately every minute by autograph hunters. Today, the Swedish papers have reported that Roxette are #1 in America with their new single, It Must Have Been Love. So almost every passerby shouts messages of congratulations. Roxette respond by sticking their thumbs aloft and smiling nervously. So, yeah, they've got #1 in America. You'd think they'd have something to smile about, but they're looking like they've been slapped round the face with a pair of wet kippers, the pair of them. But,
or herrings. Would it be herrings in Stockholm?
Yeah, herrings would be more appropriate, wouldn't it? We do get lots of facts, though. It's very very fact-heavy, really. So they're kind of about their background. We find out that Per, I think that's how you pronounce his name, was in a very famous band. Their original name was Grape Rock. It's just brilliant. Thankfully, they changed it to Golden Time, and they became very famous. They had a #1 single and #1 album with their debuts. And then, Si, do you want to tell us a little bit about Marie and what she was up to?
Well, Marie, it says that she embarked upon the rock and roll intercity at the tender age of 6 when she started singing Swedish folk songs with her family. Then she started tinkling the ivories and eventually went to music school at 17 to study piano and voice teaching. She got quite bored with it and so formed a homemade punk band called Strull.
Strull.
Strull?
Yeah.
With whom she played electric piano and shouting. And Gav, you found a video, didn't you? Of
it was amazing.
Marie in her punk phase.
If you go on YouTube, put in Marie Roxette Strull, and there's a few videos, and there's one it's about a 25-minute TV concert. It's it's great. She looks like a sort of Blue Peter kind of presenter in sort of dungarees and a Lady Di kind of hairdo. The rest of the band, I don't know, they've got strange looks going on. The drummer looks like he's modelled himself on Elton John. The guitarist looks like Bowie in the Life on Mars video in like a powder blue suit. One of the guys desperately wants to be in a heavy rock band. Like, they're all over the place stylistically. It's hilarious. It's very homemade. It's kind of like a cross between sort of punk and new wave and also a bit proggy. It's like no genre can really truly define it. But yeah, Seek it out. It's well worth seeing.
But it's funny when you see her now, isn't it? It's like when you see, because I looked at the video for It Must Have Been Love, because obviously everyone can remember that song.
Yeah.
And if you can't, what's wrong with you? And she's marketed as a foxtrot, isn't she? So she's like in a, not a kind of like full sexiness, but definitely as an attractive lady in a tight dress, looking windswept and pensive.
She's a glacial foxtress.
She really is. Yes, she is. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't always that way. I mean, obviously we've discussed the punk phase, but then Sean goes on to explain that by the mid-'80s, Marie had carved herself a niche in that pensive singer-songwriter, woolly tights and grim eyebrows sort of way, singing tunes in Swedish about sad love.
Sad love.
That's a great line.
When I was reading through the mag the other day, I was howling at that line. I had to put the mag down just for a few minutes and read it a few times. I think that is just, yeah.
Yeah, it's very good. It's really good, this piece, because there's loads of information in it, and the information has come from them. Like she said, electric piano and shouting. That's to define what she said. And she said at a certain point she worked as a gardener, and she says, I love flowers. And so like there's loads of like little tiny, really good quotes all the way through, and you learn loads of stuff about it. And it's funny. Like, it's really funny. You learn like here. Look, like Pear says, we're richer than a year ago, but we have no time to do anything ourselves apart from the group, which is like, indication of what their life is like. So we end up paying lots of people. He's feeling a bit resentful. Sweden has very high taxes. We pay 83%.
I know.
So that's quite an incredible detail. That's just like put in.
Yeah. Tax facts.
Tax facts. You don't expect them, but they're there.
So yeah, no wonder they're looking a bit grumpy.
Yeah, her eyebrows are quite good in this one though, and they're not grim eyebrows, I would say.
I think they've been styled. They've had the eyebrow stylist in.
Yeah, I like that piece. It's very good because I like it because they're grumpy. And yet they still, Sean still gets all the stuff out of them.
Skipping on a few more pages, what do we go past? The lyrics to D-Shake, Yeah, the Stone Roses, One Love, and It Must Have Been Love by there's Roxette again, an advert for the Abbey National, and then Out to Lunch with Big Fun and Sonia. First Bob Dylan and George Harrison, and their crumbly chums formed the Travelling Wibblies. Then the Pet Shop Boys and Barney Sumner from New Order formed Electronic. And now there's a brand new supergroup, a rock collaboration to blow the socks off all the others, Big Fun and Sonia. So Tom Doyle's gone to have lunch with, two of Big Fun and one of Sonia at the Hard Rock Cafe in London. And it's ostensibly to talk about their collab, Stock Aitken and Waterman produced collab song, You've Got a Friend, not a cover of the James Taylor, who did You've Got a Friend, or was it Carole King? I can't remember.
Carole King.
Carole King. It's not a cover of that song. It starts off with a little quote from Sonia. When I met them, I thought they looked like three little schoolboys with all their suits on, titters Sonia, remembering the first time she ever clapped eyes on Big Fun. We thought you looked like a country and western singer, retorts Mark of Big Fun. Yeah, shrieks Sonia.
Oh, God.
We're sitting in London's Hard Rock Cafe, Rock Eatery to the Stars, to mark the release of You've Got a Friend, Sonia and Big Fun's first record together, a touching duet in aid of the That's Life Childline appeal. Everyone's tucking into their lavishly heaped lunches except Phil, who's gone off to visit his sick dad, chatting about which countries they've been doing European promotion in, and generally having a right laugh. So I think there's one little bit, well, there's a couple of bits in this actually. What do you admire most about each other's work? Jason from Big Fun says, I just think Sonia's got an amazing voice. I think she's got one of the most talented voices I've ever heard in a long time, and she's still not had enough time to develop. And Mark says, yeah, she's got a really long way to go. And I'm thinking, is that a backhanded compliment? Are they really, are they slagging her off, really? And Sonia says that she thinks Big Fun.
Big Bum. That's what they were called in the office. Big Bum.
Is it?
Sonia and Big Bum.
Yeah. But they're really good guys, and they're just dead genuine. Later on in the piece, Tom asks them, And this is something that we've already touched on a little bit, and I think it's quite interesting that that Tom's asked them this. What do you think of the way the charts are changing with all these dance records and Manchester groups being in there and so on? Jason, I think it's brilliant. I love the Stone Roses and things. Sonia, if people didn't want them, they wouldn't be there. Tom's next question. Don't you think Stock Aitken and Waterman records are becoming unfashionable? Jason, I remember people saying that 5 years ago. Sonia, they move with the times, Pete can see what's happening like. Jason, I think Pete will come out with a lot of stuff that'll surprise people and they'll have to eat their words. Tom's next question. Do you dread the dumper and what that will do to you if you fall into it? What other jobs would you like to do? And they don't worry about the dumper. So I think that's our takeaway points from that. And I think it is interesting that Tom's asking them, clearly it's been noticed that the Stock Aitken and Waterman sound is no longer the thing like it was.
They should have worried about the dumper because it was beckoning.
It was beckoning, yeah. I've interviewed both Big Bum and Sonia.
Yeah.
And Sonia was actually the reason why I thought I just don't want to work for Smash Hits anymore. I found her really difficult to interview because she just was relentlessly positive and said nothing at all. And actually, I did get one bit of information out of her. I got about what job she used to do before she was a singer, and she worked not an abattoir, but a little bit like it was basically chicken farm. So you had to get the eggs, and it was, not a particularly nice job. And she said, okay, I think the quote that we used was that she used to have to punch a chicken to get it off the egg and to get the egg out. And that was the only interesting thing that she said. And yeah, I couldn't cope with it after that. She was just, the problem with bands like this is they kind of feel like they have to be cheerful all the time. They are cheerful all the time. That's their selling point, I suppose, really, isn't it? In one of the pictures, in the main picture, they're just like literally kind of, well, hey, we're mates, cheese. And it's just, there's nothing there. God love them. They're singing and they're working with Stock Aitken and Waterman. They say absolutely nothing of any interest whatsoever. And that's hard, to work with.
And were you finding that more and more around this time?
No, I just think, to be honest, I think what would I say? I think I worked really, really hard, and I think I played really, really, really hard, like most people that age. And I think I was just strung out, actually. And then I just needed to stop for a bit. And that isn't Sonia's fault. That's like my own lifestyle fault, really. But yeah, it can be hard if you've got high standards, and Smash Hits has got high standards, and you've got a double page spread and you want it to be interesting and it's got to be fun, and you've got to get, if you think about the two features we just talked about, which is the Stone Roses one and the Roxette one, there's loads of facts in there. Me and Sean have both worked really hard to make those things really, really interesting. And Tom has done his best here, but they say, those questions that he's asked are interesting about what's happening to Stock Aitken and Waterman. What about Manchester coming up? But the answers are just boring. Obviously, they're quite hard questions to answer, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them, are they?
No, and he's also kind of asking them, wither your career. That's quite a hard thing to answer. But their answers are boring throughout. And that can be quite wearing.
The only bit where it stops feeling like enforced jollity is where Tom asked the question, is being famous all it's cracked up to be? And Jason says, no one told me it was going to be as much hard work as it is. And he goes on to say, it can also be very lonely at times. At the end of the day, when you go back to your hotel room at night and it's just you, and you suddenly feel, oh.
Yeah.
It's like there's a little glimpse through the curtain there, isn't there? That actually there is a lot of facade and showbiz and razzmatazz, but then actually beyond that, it feels a bit empty and sad.
Yeah, and also those bands, it's a very, very small version of things like One Direction or there's a new boy band documentary, isn't it, made by Louis Theroux's company that's coming out.
Oh, right.
And that's around bands like Five and 911 and all those. And, they had proper tough times, really, I think. And, nobody really bothered, did they? And actually, Smash Hits, through no fault of its own, was kind of part of the problem, because you've got to be in Smash Hits and you've got to be smiling in the photos, and they've got to be original photos. You can't just hand the photo over. You've got to have your photo taken. You've got to do these interviews, which, as you can tell by, we work really hard to make them good interviews. Those take time. They've got to answer them properly. If they don't answer them properly, we ask another question. It's quite hard work.
Do you have that feeling when you're doing those kind of interviews, and you talked about Sonia before, are you kind of aware as you're getting the answers, like, I need more, I need to change direction? I mean, what's that feeling like for you, that pressure to get some good quotes, or feel like, oh, there's something I can work with here? Is that difficult?
Yeah, you've always got it on your mind. Always, always, always. Even now I've got it on my mind, but I'm just more relaxed now about it. I think, I was in constant fear that I was going to lose my job, because I didn't know why I'd got the job. So I kind of, do you know what I mean? Like I could have thought, I don't know why I've got this job. And I could just felt like I was going to lose it at any point. I could see someone like Sylvia is an absolute genius writer. So funny, brilliant questions, great. And I just think like, I'm just nowhere near as good as her. Like I just can't, she's absolutely brilliant. I'm nowhere near like her. So I just was constantly thinking I was going to lose my job. So that brings...
Someone's going to find me out.
Yeah, and it's very common for a lot of people, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, I used to... I remember, actually, it was Seal. I remember interviewing Seal, who really didn't... A lot of people didn't care about smash hits as well. So they really didn't want the interview. And he was basically, there for the photo. And I just followed him around because he really didn't want to answer the question. I was asking him questions while he was having his makeup done. So I was just like... basically in my head thinking his answers have been terrible, I've got to get more. So he'd be sitting there in the makeup and I'd just badgering him with questions. Poor bloke. I mean, you just think, God, stop it. But I was always conscious that I had to get good stuff. Now I feel the same, but I would be less relentless. I would have more sympathy for the act, I think.
You'd be calmer about it and guess that you wouldn't have the same kind of panic or anxiety in that moment, right?
No, and I would also think, if I did think, I haven't got enough, this isn't very good, I might ask for a little bit longer, or I might interview their friends, or I might, there's other ways around it, I think. Whereas then I would just constantly thinking, I've only got 45 minutes, I've got to get everything, I mean, I still have that feeling, actually. It's a feeling that's hard to lose. But, yeah. They need to be interesting and funny.
Come on, pop stars.
Come on, pop stars, do your job.
So we leave Big Fun and Sonia on the way towards the dumper, particularly Big Fun. We should just quickly mention Snap, Oops Up. Some very interesting lyrics. Turbo B sings a little verse about bad days, which I just wanted to quickly mention. He says, "This is a story about bad days. Start out happy and end up sad days. Talking about that Murphy's Law, if it can go wrong, yes it will. Went to the store to get some protein." Very specific. "Friday night and I had the munchies. Filled the gut till I couldn't take it. One more bag of chips would break it." This is where it gets interesting. "Went to the checkout, stood in line. Behind me was a girl who was too fine. Got in the end while they rang the total. Reached my wallet. Uh-oh, a polo. Not my day. I felt like a dummy. Went to the store and forgot the money." So Turbo B's bad day is basically going to the shop to buy some protein, and he's got a mint in his wallet instead of money. It sounds like a very specific
Very specific. And also you was one more bag of chips, which is crisps. And I want to say that's not protein. That's carbs.
No, it's not. It's very starchy.
Yeah.
Very carby.
He's getting very bad nutritional advice from someone, isn't he?
Yeah.
It feels like it might be a true story though, because it just seems too specific to have been made up. Anyway, we'll go past that. And various adverts and posters of Bobby Brown and the Inspirals, and we get to a big swankathonic 8-page Smash It special on Madonna. I'll give a brief outline of what's going on, and then we can talk about it a little more. Basically, Mike Sutar's gone to Disney World, Orlando, for the massive world premiere of Dick Tracy, the new film starring Warren Beatty and Madonna. He's in the hotel, first of all, and he talks about what it's like there, and then he goes to the premiere. It's obvious by this point that Madonna's not actually going to turn up because she's got a sore throat, but he says it's still very incredibly exciting. There's 100 press photographers and 20 film crews there in attendance. After that, he goes to the post-film party where they've closed off the Disney MGM theme park to the public. And there's all kinds of events. He says that you can go and see stuntmen relive the spectacular japes of Indiana Jones, complete with trucks that explode. And amongst other things, you can go and view the latest Roger Rabbit short, which will be showing with Dick Tracy. And there's a Dick Tracy musical stage show thingy called Dick Tracy, starring in Diamond Double Cross, where lots of people leap around dressed as characters from the film. They dance, they sing, they act. It's crap.
And the act is in inverted commas. They act.
They act. He goes back to the hotel. The next day, he's due to fly off to Philadelphia to see Madonna on the Blonde Ambitions tour, but it looks like it's not going to happen because of her aforementioned throat problems. Apparently, she's not even allowed to speak because she's got to rest her voice. But then it says just after 5 p.m, the heartening news breaks that Madonna will most definitely be playing tonight. On telly, Christopher Ciccone, Madonna's brother, he doesn't look anything like her, by the way, is being interviewed by a foxtress from the local news station, Channel 6. Chris sort of explains the situation, kind of thing. And then in quote marks from Chris, we looked down her throat and saw Barbra Streisand, so we asked her to leave, he says to the bafflement of the interviewer, who asks him if any of the show will now be mine. Nope, snaps Chris. She'll be singing live tonight as normal. So Mike goes to the Spectrum Arena in Philadelphia, which is normally the venue for baseball matches. He describes the audience as mostly white girls around 16 wearing cut-off jeans with black cycling shorts underneath. He reviews the gig, which we'll come to shortly. After the gig, he's back at the hotel, and then he gets an interesting little scoop, which I think Si mentioned on the contents page. He says, I have a stroke of quite astounding luck. I get the lift up to the 7th floor and saunter along the corridor towards my room. I turn the corridor to go down the last stretch of hallway when blow me down if there isn't a hefty security man standing outside the room 2 away from mine. The door behind him is marked Presidential Suite. Hi. I pop heartily to the heavy. Shh, he hisses. Not so loud. He points to the door. She's sleeping. Oh. I tiptoe down to my room quietly. The security man takes a walk down the corridor in the other direction. Then I tiptoe back to the Presidential Suite even more quietly. And this is how Smash Hits get the scoop. The hot news. The sizzling pop exclusive of the year. Yes, it's official. On Sunday morning, Madonna's breakfast consisted of, wait for it, cholesterol-free scrambled eggs with spinach, tomato and onion, and a slice or two of melon washed down with a glass of orange juice. And how do I know? She ticked it off on a room service breakfast order card and left it outside on a door handle. So a Madonna exclusive. There's no interview in any of this 8 pages with Madonna, but this is as close as we get, I guess.
Yeah.
Then there's a big review of Dick Tracy film. And then finally a page about the Blonde Ambition tour, the aforementioned Philadelphia gig. And what I really like about this, and I think it's something that they should do more often on gig reviews, is it's just broken down into bits. So we've got number 1, the sauce pot bit, songs Express Yourself, Open Your Heart, Causing a Commotion and Where's the Party. There's a bit where Madonna pops out in a pink pointed bra and she lies suggestively atop one of the underdressed hunks.
Can we just say that pink pointed bra, that is the iconic Madonna look, but he doesn't know at the moment, does he? So Mike Soutard he doesn't know, but that is the iconic John Paul Gaultier Madonna look. And he just goes, oh, pink pointy bra.
Yeah. Then we've got the religious bit, songs Like a Virgin, Like a Prayer, Live to Tell, Oh Father and Papa Don't Preach, where she has some rumpo with bedpillows, screams God very loudly, and the curtain rises to reveal 6 white pillars, 3 sets of pretend candles, and several, quote marks, sexy priests for Like a Prayer. Then it's the Dick Tracy bit, where she sings some songs from the film. Number 4 is the next bit, which contains Material Girl, Cherish, Get Into the Groove in Vogue, which doesn't really have a theme. And then the final bit is the encore bit, songs Holiday and Keep It Together. 2 costume changes for this one. Madonna is resplendent in becoming silver clown outfits with black dots. And then for the second encore, the entire cast don the pervy businessman on holiday in Berlin look, sporting bowler hats and black lycra lederhosen, and perform all manner of incredible London boy-esque acrobatic antics on some wooden chairs. And that's your lot. So yeah, that's a whistle-stop tour through the 8 pages. Were you jealous of Mike going away and doing this big piece in that America?
It's hard work, is what I thought, actually. Hard work. I mean, I think it's interesting because the Blonde Ambition tour is absolutely classic Madonna. It is a banger of a tour. Like, he's got a list of the tracks that she plays. And also, you know, like any Madonna fan will have watched this on telly a million trillion times anyway. Like there's loads of like quite iconic moments in that tour. To go and see that in America, I would have loved that. That's absolutely brilliant. But I did think, even though he's having a great time in Disney World, or is Disney World, or I get them mixed up, or Disney World or the Disney Park, it's hard work because you're constantly asking the PR what's happening with Madonna, because everybody wants Madonna, and really you're there to report about Madonna, and Madonna isn't there. So you have to just go around and find lots of kind of daft stuff to write about, really. And that's not easy. But at no point is it boring.
No, it's a tremendously exciting piece, isn't it?
It's really interesting. It's really interesting all the way through. So it makes me think the same thing. It's just like, God, there was a lot of work put into this because you're getting information all the way through this. You know, at one point they've got like Dick Tracy merchandise, a Swamped America. Here's a small selection of the things that you might be able to get, you know, like masked socks, action figures, umbrellas. And it's like info all the way through, you know. Even the fact that he bothered to get her breakfast order. And also I did think it's interesting because now I think an act at that level, like she's pretty famous, like a prayer is a big deal. They would get the whole floor.
Well, she books out whole hotels now, doesn't she? From what I've heard. Like,
you would just get like, you know, she's got the presidential suite, but like the fact that Mike is 2 doors down, like that. There's no way that would happen now. No, absolutely.
Yeah, and the security guy just toddled off.
Wandered off. No way. Absolutely no way would that happen. I thought that was quite interesting as well, really. Because she's not as protected as you might think. And also, I did think I've interviewed both Christopher Ciccone and Madonna at different points. Yeah. I had a very strange interview with him, which is another story. But anyway, he does look like her. He's wrong.
And how did you find Madonna? What was she like when you interviewed her?
She was great. Yeah, really good. I interviewed her it was for The Face and it was for the music album. And she only did 2 interviews, actually, really. She did one with The Face and one with Rolling Stone. So that was incredibly, I felt very fortunate to do it. She was interesting. It was a point where she was with Guy Ritchie. She was pregnant with Rocco. And she was fully interesting at all times. She was very conscious of, which is similar to what people are like now, but she was very conscious of whatever she said probably would go into the tabloids. So sometimes she was self-editing, but at no point was she boring. No, she was really interesting.
So we leave Madonna and we just, as we did earlier with 5 Star, we're just going to skip gently before they notice us past John and Jordan from New Kids on the Block, which is part 2 of a sort of a little feature on the members of the band. And we go through more bank adverts. There's a lot of bank adverts in this, aren't there? We've had Abbey National and all the banks trying to get you to sign up and have a little current account with them. And we get to the letters page, a very short letters page, a 1-page feature. One of the letters I really liked was, he's no ugly git. Dear Black Type, I'm writing to complain about the comments made in your 13th to 26th of June issue by one Sarah Turnbull about one Sean Ryder. I was shocked to hear her referring to him as an ugly git. May I inform you and others, Miss Turnbull, that in the opinion of many of us up here in Glasgow, Sean Ryder is definitely a bit of all right. And I myself might even go as far as to say that he's an utter sex god. So what if he has the odd zit? Who hasn't? And by the way, he doesn't wear flares as depicted in your work of art, hem. If I was you, Miss Turnbull, I'd keep my stupid opinions to myself. Love from Sean's laid-back hair, Glasgow. Things getting very heated there.
And he did used to wear flares.
He did.
He'd moved on.
He really did. And the final letter I really enjoyed as well. Dinner in the Hamster. Hello, my little black cherry type. Just a little note to tell you your dinner is in the hamster and I'm off down the rave up. So there. See ya. John Bon Jovi's earring, Cambridge. I always like that phrase. I'm off down the rave up.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot else in there really. It's like we said,
it's kind of evenly split between New Kids on the Block and Happy Mondays, really.
And then we go on a few more pages, and there's a 1-page little article about Maxi Priest, and I thought we could just mention this because we get lots of Max facts. We've had tax facts. Now it's Max facts. He was born Maxi Elliott in Lewisham in 1962, named after Max Bygraves, his mum's favourite singer. What I found was really amazing as well. Later on, we found out he's got a dog named Max. He's Maxie, and he's got a dog named Max. That's going to create a lot of confusion in the Priest household, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah.
He's a big fan of Phil Collins as well. He calls him, I've never met the guy, but he's very talented and he seems like a nice person. His vibe comes over in the music. And his secrets of happiness, being with my friends, enjoying myself, and crumpet. You know, the things you toast. I think it's been a little bit cheeky there, isn't it?
Cheeky.
bit of a sauce pot.
I like the bit, she's number 6, and it's just because I really like this phrase, because I still think of this quite a lot. Maxie is, Hanky's aloft, in a loved-up situation as we speak, but Hanky's down again, has no plans whatsoever to get married. I quite often think that. Hanky's aloft, oh, Hanky's down again.
So yeah, he comes across as a nice fella.
We get to the review section of the mag, which is the bit that I always turn to first. This week, the singles are reviewed by cheeky Alex Cadis, and she quite rightly makes the Stone Roses single of the fortnight. But there's not a great deal of competition, to be honest.
It's so bad. Everything else is so bad.
I mean, who knew that Clark Datchler from Johnny Hates Jazz had a solo career?
Yeah, who cares?
We get Bob Geldof's comeback solo single, The Great Song of Indifference.
Well, it's like a Bob Dylan tune, isn't it?
A band called Indecent Obsession, who are terrible.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the things that they put in also released this fortnight that are skimmed over. There's some better things in there.
Definitely.
James Come Home and...
And actually, the High box set go. And then there's a bit, you know, Wendy and Lisa are always worth anything. But, like, yeah, that is a rough week, innit? There's nothing there apart from... The Stone Roses. I mean, thank God though. What would you make single of fortnight if it wasn't there? I mean, it would have to be James Come Home, I suppose, really. But there's nothing, is there?
No, I'm quite partial. If any of you get a chance, listeners, to look at the video playlist, and there's a tune I don't remember, Junior Tucker, Don't Test. But I'd recommend watching the video for that. That's a really bonkers little song. I don't know if it would be single of the week, but it's more entertaining than the other stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
We've got Pop's Maxi Priest, Jason Donovan there with Another Night, which is the wettest of songs, really, isn't it? It's just terrible.
Yeah, and a terrible video. Oh, my God.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked by how bad that was.
It's all winsome and,
Yeah, waiting for a lady to get off a boat for
For 5 minutes.
On and on.
Jeez.
It says here, it's the same old familiar sound, usual SAW shenanigans left, right and centre. There we are, another nail in the coffin.
Yeah, not a lot to choose from there, is there?
Not really, no. But then we get Jason Donovan on the next page sharing his thoughts on the current charts. That he absolutely loves the England New Order record. He says that Step by Step by New Kids on the Block is one of their better records. I haven't heard the Betty Boo record yet, but I'm on top of the pops today, so I expect I'll hear it. But then he goes on to talk, well, he's asked about Kylie's new record and Craig McLachlan's new record. So obviously, two of his Neighbours co-stars. I don't remember if Jason and Craig were in Neighbours at the same time, or if they crossed over, or if Craig was in it slightly after. But anyway, what Jason says is, I don't think Kylie's new record is one of her best, to be honest.
Shock.
Everyone's saying it's her best record ever. I would have to disagree with that and say it's either Wouldn't Change a Thing or Hand on Your Heart. I don't think it's the sort of song that suits her voice. She sounds a bit screechy on it.
Get you.
Is this when Kylie had hooked up with Michael Hutchins?
Oh, yeah. It was hurt.
Bit of sour grapes going on there, yeah. And Craig McLachlan's record, yeah, it's okay. Why did I know you're going to ask me about him, I wonder? He's a really great musician, actually. I mean, he can really play the guitar. He's a proper bona fide musician. But I'm not really a Bo Diddley fan. There's question marks there. But Mona, the song that Craig McLachlan's covered is a Bo Diddley song. It's funny because I hadn't seen him for about a year. And then I saw him in a gym in London the other day. No, I don't fancy having his muscles, really. I don't fancy the idea of having to wear a bra. Question marks.
Sideswiping people left, right and centre, isn't he?
Yeah, the moob shaming there.
Yeah, he's showing no mercy. And then we get a roundup of the fortnight's dance releases under the Down the Rave Up section.
I love that.
And a few albums as well. We get a few albums. Jane Child, and that gets 4 out of 10. Wilson Phillips, 5 out of 10. It's a tad dull. and Talk Talk Natural History, the compilation, which gets a rather marvellous 9 out of 10. And then a review of the great Guru Josh live at the Town and Country Club. Gav, do you want to take us downtown?
Yeah, just briefly, it's quite a short review from Caroline Sullivan.
In the picture of the Guru Josh concert review, he is jumping up and down with his... he's got one of those keyboards that he look like they're a bit like a guitar at the same time, right? So he's jumping up and down.
A keytar.
With his keytar. And he is wearing a particular kind of shirt, which is a red swirly shirt, bit of a paisley on it, and some blue trousers. And then there on the back, there is a poster of him. And he's wearing exactly the same shirt, right? And then I went online and watched it on Top of the Pops, and he's wearing exactly the same shirt. So he's got his one pop star. I mean, I'm not judging him, but it's quite sweet. It's like, this is my pop star outfit, and this is what I'm going to wear every time I'm a pop star.
They maybe got a job lot of them, and
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, my other one's in the wash, but I can just wear this one. I've got a fresh one ready to go.
It's his pop uniform. He's down the Town and Country Club. I mean, never mind Stone Roses being 2.5 hours late. He's 4 hours late. His fans have been waiting for him. And it sounds, we looked at Madonna's Bland Ambition tour, the gig in Philadelphia, and that was divided into 5 bits. I'll say this is just 1 bit, and it's just Guru Josh going, mental! It's just the whole gig is that, really, I think. But it sounds like a lot of fun. Check out the clip on the playlist of him doing Whose Law Is It Anyway? Just him and a guy on a little saxophone. It's like a Fast Show parody. It's well worth watching. This gig sounds great, actually. I think I'd have really liked to go and see that.
Yeah, when he's not barking out things like "Baby, I Got Love," apparently the only words to a quite good new song called "Move Your Body," he's spanking away at the portable keyboard thing around his neck. It's so loud you can't hear yourself think. Although a lot of the raving audience are beyond thinking anyway, judging from the wigged out dancing. It's
funny though, isn't it? Because he started 4 hours late. Like, there's quite a lot of the audience who are a bit like, Mum, I'm tired now. It's like half the audience are like, have taken their special aspirin and they're all right. And then everybody else is a bit like, I'm a bit tired now.
Bit tired.
Yeah.
And then we've got Chris Heath goes to a Prince gig. And if I divide that up into bits, I would just say the dull bit and the great bit, really. It sounds like Chris was a bit disappointed at the beginning. He says Prince was starting songs up and then stopping, having a bit of rumpy-pumpy with a microphone stand. Rumpy-pumpy with things was a big thing on tours then. Madonna was at it and then Prince. He says it all seems a bit unenthusiastic, but then he returns for an encore and plays a brilliant half-hour set, which kind of makes the gig special after all. And then we go on to McTunes. Si.
McTunes, I love McTunes.
Si, what's happening with McTunes?
Yes, what's happening with McTunes? So yeah, MC Tunes, crash, thwack, bang, wallop. These are the gentle sounds of MC Tunes, beating up a pub table as he puts the world to rights. He can't half talk, can Tunesy. Sexism, rainforests, racism, hippies, the World Cup, you name it, and Tunesy will talk about it. Of course, he usually talks to God, but today he's making do with a goggled-mouth Mike Sutar instead. It says, Tunes genuinely looks like the sort of bloke you wouldn't want to meet down a dark alley. If you saw him coming towards you along the pavement, you'd definitely cross the road. Tunes might not be terribly tall, around 5'8", but he's of stocky build and boasts 2 deep moon-shaped scars, one under his right eye, the other on the left of his forehead, neither of which he got playing netball. His flat-top hairstyle with becoming tram lines, matching tough goatee beard and mad grey eyes do not help matters at all. Even though it turns out that he's not half as dangerous as he looks, and a great deal more friendly too. You would not tangle with this man. Tunes also has something of a reputation for ranting on enthusiastically at great length about any subject you'd care to mention, and this he does when we meet him over a foaming tankard of ale at a public hostelry round the corner from the Smash It's office, thumping the table to emphasise the points he's making. He also regularly peppers his conversation with all manner of colourful phrases. I think it sets the scene quite well. What would that pub have been, Miranda, do you recall?
Might have been the Crown. Might have been. I mean, there was a few around the Crown was one we went to, and there was also the White Horse that we went to as well. That was just behind. I mean, there's a few. Honestly, there's loads really.
Yeah.
In those days, there were plenty of pubs. Really, I really like MC Tunes. Like, I really like him. I remember. I don't know if it's obviously not in this interview, but I do remember that maybe he did it on the telly or something. But I always associate him with this thing where he goes nish, clish, and bang. I don't know. Nish is nothing. I know that, but I don't know what the other ones mean. But I just associate him with that phrase. But what's really weird about the track that he does with 808 State, which is called "The Only Rhyme That Bites," which is a great track, is he puts on an American accent. Did you notice that? So, like, normally when you hear, like, if you hear, say, somebody like H do his raps, it's like a really Mancunian accent, and that's like the appeal. But back then, it is still a little bit like people, when they were rapping, were trying to be American. So it sounds quite odd, because when you hear him talk, he's really Manc. And then when you hear him rap, it's like, why do you sound so weird?
Yeah, I think rap was seen as very much an American musical form then, wasn't it? And people hadn't really kind of owned it, so they didn't do it in their own accents, did they? It wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it's a shame, because he does talk so brilliantly that actually that's what you want to hear when he raps as well, really.
Yeah, I did notice, listening to the song, and there's a discrepancy in the lyrics earlier on in the mag, because what MC Tunes raps is, "Don't like what I say, so then sue me for liable."
I know, I love that.
Yeah, but it's been corrected in the lyrics to then sue me for libel.
Yeah, but it's much better that he says sue me for liable.
Yeah. It just made me chuckle.
But he also does a thing, it's a bit like Rennie, where you're kind of reading and you're like, man, like, this is quite rough. Like, right at the very end, it's literally like right at the very end of the feature, he's talking about, like, the headline is, pilots being sucked out of jets. They ought to be more careful with their windscreens. That's what I think. Which is funny. And then he goes on here, right, he just goes, "I'm not scared of death. There's been too much death in my family for me to worry about that. My father died, my son died, and then my uncle died. Can't worry about it now. Death's just an extension of life, really." And I was like, oh my God, what, your dad died, your kid died, and then your uncle died, and it's just, like, that's just passed over. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, he's not that old either. You know, he does look really young in this. Although I'm trying to work out what's going on in the photo. Is he being passed the water notes, or is he handing the water notes to someone else? There's an anonymous hand.
Yeah.
That the hand's got hold of one end of the notes. He's got the other end of the, what are they, £20 notes, I think. And he's stroking a Jack Russell. Yeah,
he is. I mean, I have to say, that is not a Smash Hits photo.
No.
No. Seems a bit incongruous, doesn't it?
It's definitely not a Smash Hits photo. And also the dog that he's holding, which is obviously clearly meant to look a bit scary, just looks adorable, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hello. Hello, I'm a lovely doggy. I'm not going to bite you, really.
There's definitely a bit of accidental Alan Partridge about MC Tunes, isn't there? When he talks about sexism, this made me chuckle. He says, "I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I was brought up by women, by my mother, my grandmother and my auntie. I couldn't get sexist in my house. I'd get my arse kicked." I mean, there's a lot of sexism in rap. Take NWA. They rap about women as bitches, and it's not very nice, is it? I don't agree with it. But the way I see it is that I've never been to where they come from, so maybe women there are bitches. Trying to be very, give both sides of the argument there. Again, not very sort of smash itsy, that bit, is it, really? You know.
No, it's also quite weird to me to see the N-word. Like, I just think that's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, I know it was the name of the group.
Yeah.
But, like, now, like, no way would you have that there.
No.
You just couldn't put it in. Like, you would never have it. It's so, and it's just like printed out.
And I knew them as NWA anyway.
Yeah.
I was really surprised that I read that and I thought, whoa, like that, as far as I'm concerned, you would say there's a lot of sexism in rap, take NWA. Like, why would you write that word out?
Yeah.
I was quite shocked by that, I have to say. But like, okay, very weird. And also I like the other bit I like is like where he goes, tropical rainforest. I like trees.
Yeah. Again, very Partridgey, that, isn't it? I like trees. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And his mum was a hippie. He was wearing beaded headbands and tassels when he was about 6 or 7 months old, and his mum took him to Glastonbury. And this is great as well. My mum took me to Glastonbury, and then this is a description or a definition of Glastonbury, which was like a hippie peace festival, man. And that's what people thought Glastonbury was at that time.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, it kind of was, and it kind of wasn't. 1990 was actually the time where it changed, because I remember the Happy Mondays came down, piled down, and there's loads of kind of scallies and stuff. And before that, they hadn't really been there.
But it was before, it's the big cultural event that it's sort of since
Oh,
become,
yeah, God, it was so different. Yeah, really, really.
Well, it just used to get covered on the radio and not on TV, but it was, I think, was it 94?
Yeah.
Was it 94, the first one that was on TV?
Yeah, and that was Channel 4.
Yeah, Channel 4.
94 and 95.
Yeah.
And then it went over to the BBC, and once it went to the BBC, it became like the proms.
Yeah, so it is unusual seeing it, from sort of like 34 years removed, and that they're having to explain what Glastonbury is in the pages of the hits.
The hits. Well, the kids can't go, you see, so you got to explain it. They can't go, they're too young.
Although MC Tunes wasn't, because he was a baby when he went. So.
Yeah. But that was still quite unusual, the idea that your mum and dad would take you. Unless you were a traveller. Like, that would be like, there's no way your mum would take you to Glastonbury. Are you mad? Whereas now I think that's maybe a bit more standard.
You were saying the other day when we were chatting, you started following MC Tunes on Instagram now.
Yeah, he's lovely. I really
got a bit
like
of a soft spot for it.
I have now, yeah. He just tells you what he's up to and where he's DJing and stuff like that. But he does it in such an endearing manner.
Yeah.
So he's obviously written down all where he is doing his DJing and stuff like that. But he's slightly reading it and slightly delivering it. It's just something really endearing about him. And he's the kind of person, if you follow him on Instagram, he'll follow you back. And I always think that's polite.
That's nice. That's proper.
Quite sweet.
Proper.
Good etiquette.
Yeah, I think that's very sweet.
So just before we get to the lovely poster of Guru Josh, we have what used to be called Get Smart, and which is now Blimey, with Gordon Interesting Bennett at the helm. And it's the place like Get Smart used to be, where you can ask those tricky pop questions. So there's a question about whether Donny is really cheesed off with the new kids, and he's going to quit the group, and obviously the new kids spokesperson says, no, that's definitely not happening. And there's also a question about whether Michael Jackson recently had a heart attack. Is he very ill? And again, no. He had an inflammation of cartilage in front of his ribs, but not a heart attack, so he's okay. But for me, the most entertaining part of it is the Are They Down the Dumper section, which is about a third of a page, and it talks about Naina Cherry. Is she down the dumper? No, because she's about to record with what they call a local band called Massive Attack before they were as famous as they since became. De La Soul, following up their 3 Foot High and Rising album, which is going to be brilliant, according to their spokesperson, but it's all very secret and there's no other details at the moment. And I particularly enjoyed Tiffany. Her last single, All This Time, was released in February 1989 and reached a spectacular chart position of 49. Since then, of course, she's had a variety of problems to deal with. She took her mum to court over financial matters, and she had a legal battle with her old managers. But now she's on her way back. She's apparently presented her American record company with some new tracks, and there should be a finished LP at the start of next year. Tiffany's also involved in writing the soundtrack for a cartoon feature film called The Jetsons, a sort of Flintstones in space, and she plays one of the main characters in it too. And while we're talking about Tiffany's acting, Si, what did we watch the other day?
Well, I've not watched it all, but you introduced me to a film that I think is going to be the film to end all films. I mean, first of all, how did you come across this particular movie?
So I was just curious as to what Tiffany had been up to sort of since the early 90s. So I went on Wikipedia, of course. And as I was reading through, I was struck by a song it talked about her recording. It said, on January the 14th, 2011, Tiffany released the single Serpentine through iTunes. This country song was taken from the soundtrack of the film, and this is the bit that really got me interested, Megapython versus Gatoroid, in which she also starred. So I was like, I've never heard of this. This sounds amazing. So I went onto YouTube. You can actually see the whole film on there. I've not watched the film yet. I've just seen the trailer. But yeah, there's like a minute and a half of this like mad disaster movie with like some really bad CGI. And not only is Tiffany starring in it, but who should she be starring alongside?
Debbie Gibson.
Debbie Gibson. So, I mean, yeah, I can't wait to watch it. I'm going to be watching that very soon. It just looks incredible. The trailer is just brilliant. We're going to have to put it on our social media. Because how have we never heard of this? The pair of us.
Don't know. I mean, the effects look pretty awful. There's a lot of interaction, shall we say, between Tiff and Deb. And I'm wondering if they did their own stunts. But I mean, yeah, the trailer is a thing to behold. So it can only bode well for what the film will be like. There's one bit where, what was it, Mega Python or whatever it is, swallows a train.
Least convincing thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously, that's, sort of 20 years after this issue of Smash It. So, yeah, we can't give it full coverage, but just knowing that it exists, and now we've let you know that it exists,
and your lives will never be the same again. So, Miranda, thank you for joining us on the carousel. I hope you didn't mind that we took the Eccles cake off you, but we'll give it to you now that you've been on it. But you've had your Vimto.
Thank you. I need a bit of sugar.
Yeah,
I need a bit of sugar now.
You do. What's it been like for you visiting or revisiting your final issue on The Hits? How's it been as an experience?
It's been really nice, actually. I mean, it's made me. I mean, not that I didn't ever appreciate Smash Hits. I always appreciated Smash Hits, but I suppose what I kind of like was thought about Smash Hits a few years removed was that, it was all about the humour, ha ha ha. It's all about humour, the posters, and this and that. And obviously it is all about that. But actually, what I really got from all that was the detail of all the interviews. Even when Sean's having a bad interview with Roxette, and even when Mike Suter's like over in America and no way is Madonna anywhere near him. There's so much detail and there's so much hard work in there that makes it really interesting. Even if there's like a, dullish interview with Janet Jackson, everything around it is designed to make it interesting. And there's so much stuff in it. I spent quite a lot of time looking at NME and Melody Maker when I was researching the Britpop book I did, right? And there's a lot in it, but it's a lot of opinion.
Yeah.
Like I was quite a lot of the interviews and stuff. I thought, God, these are quite bad, actually. And there is not a bad interview in there. Even when the people are a bit boring, there really isn't a bad one in there. There's loads of work in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of substance to it. And you can tell that, that it's not kind of being tossed off.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, did you feel that responsibility to the readers?
Yeah, absolutely. The readers were like I was joking before that I was writing jokes for myself. I mean, you always are a little bit, aren't you, to try and make yourself laugh, but it's absolutely the readers were like, so that's who we were writing for. We weren't writing to become friends with the pop stars. We weren't writing for ourselves. We were writing for the readers always, 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 always. Like, and maybe that's the difference between that and the NME and Melody Maker as well.
Yeah. Because
also you're conscious that the readers were a bit younger, so like you had to be careful about what you said.
But you were taking them with you.
Yeah.
More than the Inkies would, I think.
Yeah, you weren't shouting at them.
No.
You were like, you're right to like this band and this is why you're right. It's great, Yeah, so the readers were always absolutely what we thought of that. The readers.
The viewers.
Yeah, exactly. Our viewers. Oh, it was lovely, actually. I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining the carousel and riding with us. And thanks to you for listening, wherever you are, whoever you are. Don't forget to check out our website, giddypoppod.home.blog, where you'll find the links to the issue of Smash Hits that we've been looking at, along with those Spotify and YouTube playlists so you can enjoy your ride on the carousel to its fullest. And of course, you can check out our previous episodes, playlists and scans, our back issues, if you will, while you're there.
And if you want to support us by buying us a coffee, you know what to do. Go to ko-fi.com/giddypoppod. They really needed to think about that name, didn't they? They didn't say it out loud when they thought of it. If you feel moved enough to leave us a review, then please do. And come and say hello to us, and we'll say hello back. Giddy Pop Pod on the socials. So thanks once again for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Giddy Carousel of Pop. Bye!
Bye! We've done very well.